47-minute long episodes are no more. As much as we wish it wasn't true, all good things must come to an end. But the drop in time doesn't equal a drop in quality. The artwork and animation are still top-notch and very pleasing to look at, leaving this as one of the most visually impressive animes I've watched in a long time. First scene is of Ren explaining to Emiya just what he's been dragged into, explaining the basics of the Holy Grail War and exactly what the servants are. They're actually heroes from the past sent to help the mages win the war. Anything from pretty much, if it's a legend and it has a main hero, the servants could be any one of them from any sort of time, past, present, and future. Now, in a refreshing change of pace, there's no sort of culture shock or fish out of water stories that we get from this, as they immediately adapt to whatever time frame they're in. It's kind of avoiding the trope that we've all seen a million times before. You know, the usual, oh, what is this thing? It's called a mouse, but where's the tail? You know. More so, the servants are actually tied to the mages and actually draw power from them in order to heal themselves and use their abilities and the like. But with Emiya being a very weak mage, a novice, a beginner, Saber can't draw anything from him. So effectively crippling her in terms of power. She can't use her abilities as much as some of the others could. Now, this actually balances out Ren's previous claims that Saber is the strongest of all the servants, with, her not being able to use her full potential. In order for Emiya to learn more about the war, Ren takes him to the overseer of it, someone who's been placed by who, we don't know, but basically his job is to make sure that all the rules are followed and to protect the mages that actually drop out. Now, the overseer, Kiri, is a former pupil of Ren's father, and from what I've gathered, he was a competitor in the last war, but somehow survived. That's probably told in Fate Zero. And yes, I know it's, you roll that R, but when I roll that R, it comes out as Kitty, which sort of sounds like kitty. And with the voice like that, he does not deserve a name that sounds like Kitty. And the dude has this very deep, menacing, threatening kind of just growl. It's a lot better than mine, that's for sure. Kiri explains just what the Holy Grail War is, and just what the Holy Grail itself is. It is an object which would grant the wish of anyone that gets it. The trick, though, is that the Holy Grail is sentient in a way. It picks who joins the Holy Grail War, picks when it happens, and where it happens. Also picks who the servants are. Now, Emiya being real thick, he says he's not convinced. He doesn't believe any of this, because he doesn't like the idea of people killing each other. Because, he wants to be a hero, his whole, we have to protect everybody sort of mentality. Now, Ren then brings up that the true objective isn't really to kill the other mages, but it's to make sure that yours is the last servant standing. It's not that they have to kill the mages, it's just that it's easier than killing the servants. Because remember, the servants are these, super-powered legends, that, well, you're not going to beat on a one-on-one fight, regardless of who you are, unless you're a servant yourself. But that's a different thing entirely. A bit more back and forth with Emiya wanting to drop out of it, and Kitty finally drills it into his head that he has to, especially if he doesn't want some complete evil bastard to win something that would grant whatever wish they had, as well as telling him that the event 10 years ago that we've been seeing flashbacks of was caused by the last war. Now, this, of course, finally, gets it into Emiya's head that, yeah, if he wants to be this, hero of justice, here's his chance. Here's the chance for him to actually save some lives. So he actually does finally, he's like, okay, I'm gonna fight. Which, unfortunately, this version does not give us the line, "People die if they are killed," which I was actually a little bit, you know, I was a little bit disappointed in that, but at the same time, I'm glad it didn't, because that was just a moment of unintentional hilarity. Now, this whole scene takes place in a dark and empty church, and the lighting in it is fantastic. It is amazing. A very dark blue tint on everything, giving it a nice moody feel. The lack of music is another really cool touch. Because, like, too often, shows rely too heavily on the music instead of just letting the visuals and the characters themselves set the mood. You know, we don't need just real dramatic music going 100% of the time. You know, sometimes it's okay for there to be no background music and just instead let the characters, you know, set the mood, which I just said. But, you know, it needs to be repeated sometimes. You know, it's really, really well done this way. I'm glad they didn't go with the, you know, big orchestral dramatic kind of music blaring in the background. Instead, just, you know, letting it all be very quiet and moody. We also get some more information on the last Grail War, and that the last person who won, he actually kind of failed. Because he didn't kill all the other masters or all the other servants, and because of that, the Grail wasn't complete. It somehow, when a servant dies, it actually goes into the Grail and powers it. And if not all the servants have been taken out but one, then the Grail itself is actually faulty. It won't work as intended. We get a scene between Emiya and Saber as they leave the church, Emiya having decided to actually fight in the war to stop as much destruction as he can. Now, Saber is very much approves of this goal and is very willing to support it, making these two a really good group, or a really good team. And it gives them a good dynamic, which I like. I'm glad that we don't have I'm glad that they're not bickering like most kind of stories would have them do. Just, you know, it doesn't have that whole will they, won't they kind of thing. No, it's like, no, they get along fine. Ren and Emiya have something of a moment together, with Emiya admitting that he likes people like her. The ones that would actually help someone out despite not having any reason to. If she could have simply killed him off when he ordered Saber to stop her, and she would have been in her right. He is her opponent. It's something that Archer actually brings up. He's like, you know, why don't we kill this guy? Find that she actually feels like she's in a debt to him because he did stop the attack. So that's why she helped him out a little bit. But it's not long, however, before they are interrupted by a creepy-ass little girl and her servant, the Berserker, leaving us with a cliffhanger ending and reminding me why I prefer to binge-watch the shows after all the episodes are up. Now, we didn't get any flashy action scenes, but this episode didn't need any. This was an exposition episode, and we need those from time to time to help us understand more of what's going on. While slow, they help build the world and give us insight as to what's it all about. And as far as exposition episodes go, this wasn't a bad one. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, and we've all seen a lot worse episodes where just two people there talking. But this was done so much better than what we see a lot of times. Even if it's simply something as Kitty just circling around Emiya as he's talking, it's not just them static, just them standing, you know, face to face talking. It's actually got something going on. Now, next episode, on the other hand, looks to be a completely different monster. You know, because we got Berserker, we have Archer, and we got Saber all in one little area. So it looks to be a really good one. So with all that said and done, hopefully this particular vlog was actually better than my previous ones. I actually wrote this one all out, so hopefully it wasn't as awkward or as slow as the other ones were. Now let me know what you thought, and if I missed something or got something wrong, because I know I did in the last episode. I actually missed kind of an important detail and forgot one. I forgot that the really their outfits are just for show. That their defense and all that it's based on something else entirely. It's not, you know, well, he's wearing this type of armor, so that means he's, you know, more protected against these type of attacks. No, that's not the case with these guys. It's, you know, it's a set stat, which I don't like, but I'm like, okay, you know, that's what I get for trying to bring in real world logic into this. No, you can't. You know, these are legendary heroes. Of course, you know, the standard, you know, thrust attacks aren't going to do anything against them, you know. Anyways, hope you guys liked it. If you didn't, let me know. I'm still very new to this. I'm trying different things out, trying to see what works, what doesn't work. So if you have like any sort of ideas or something, let me know. And hit those little thumb buttons, ups and downs, you know, because they're cool. I like seeing them. Even the thumbs down ones, because it, you know, at least it's an opinion. Alright. See you guys later. Bye. What was that? Bye? No, we don't do that. We don't say it. Bye. We just kind of go